Group now, pros, happy Thursday. Welcome to Pro Power Hours, something we do every Thursday at this time. It's a product training webinar. My name's Chris Weldon. I'm one of the community managers with Housecall Pro. And if you're new to this community, if you're new to our Facebook group, maybe you're seeing this for the first time, I encourage you, put this on your calendar every week, especially if you're a new pro. It's a great way to learn Housecall Pro in and out. And if you're an older pro, maybe you're seeing this for the first time, encourage you if you're struggling with anything, if there's a product or feature you could use some tutorials on. We've got a great recording library and we do a session, like I said, every week. So really beneficial for everybody. We'll drop a link to our help center. It's got all of the past recordings and sessions. And if you ever have a suggestion or if there's something that you're struggling with, definitely let us know and we can either do a session on that or point you in the right direction. Grateful to have Phil with us here every week. He's one of our onboarding specialists and does this in partnership with us. We're going to be talking about reporting today, which is a big topic. So I think it's going to take probably the full hour. So Phil, I'll turn it over to you and we can get going.
Yep. All right. Hello, everybody again. Welcome back. If this is you're not your first Power Hour, welcome if it is your first. Yep, I'm Phil. I am one of the senior onboarding specialists here. So if you've gone through the Max or Max Plus when you enrolled with Housecall Pro, you probably talked to myself or somebody on my team. I know I've really been pushing our Power Hours to all of my new clients. So I've seen a couple of you in here, so keep joining us. It's a free session for you. Um, but yes, today we are going to talk about one of my specialties over here, which is reporting. I have been here from when reporting was very basic, and we have made numerous strides within reporting to get you the data that you need. We still are making improvements, so I have seen a lot of the questions, and I do get tons of feedback of how we can make our reporting better. We are always continuing to improve our product, but I will show you all the new updates that we have currently and how reporting is looking these days. So, as usual, we're going to get started with a little bit of a slide deck, hit you all with some information, and then I will do a little bit of a demo to show you how to build some of the reports that a lot of pros usually come to my meetings with and want to learn how to do. And there will always be time at the end for questions. I may be going a little fast, but I will do my best to keep it at a good pace just because there is a lot that goes into this, and I'm sure you all have tons of questions. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our deck here. So for reporting, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of reporting. I just got a new pro the other day that really doesn't do much reporting. And so her and I had a really good conversation about the benefits of reporting, considering she is on a Max Plus plan, has a big company, but they just not don't happen to do reports in the past. So it's been kind of interesting, kind of opening her up to that world of reporting. There is the homepage reports. Some of you older pros may recall the old dashboard. Some of you may still be grandfathered into that, but a lot of you new pros, you have the homepage, which does have reports on it. Usually the ones that are most pertinent to our office managers and the ones we want to get a quick glance of. Then we're going to look at the reporting dashboard. You can build your own dashboards within the reporting section. So I had a pro ask me the other day of where is, my home dashboard? I can't find it. She kept clicking on the home link and I said, nope, we got to go over here to the dashboard section within reporting. And that changed her world. So also how to search, create, and save our reports because we are always going to be building our own custom reports and want to have access to those. Share and scheduling reports because I'm sure we all have an accounting firm or some kind of CPA or investors that are constantly asking for this kind of information. So I'll show you how you'll be able to share that with them. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we will have our questions and our demo. So benefits of reporting, just really maintaining your data integrity, making sure all your numbers are accurate and reliable. So if for any reason you are audited or, as I said, any people that are above you want to take a look at some of the reportings and the numbers, um, we have it here and that allows you to maintain that data integrity. Tracking and progress performance. So we do have some reporting in here that leads towards our field technicians so that we're able to keep track of any commissions, any upsells, things like that. KPIs, so those key performance indicators, being able to track what their average review rating is from our customers, how many reviews they're asking for versus how many jobs they've done. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Facilitating the decision making, so being able to look at all the data and look at all your numbers and understand what your next move is going to be. I always show everybody how to pull their marketing reports so that way you can see where your marketing time and money is best spent. And without those reports, you wouldn't be able to make some of these big decisions. And lastly, compliance and accountability. So being able to pull those reports, kind of going back to the beginning, making sure everything is accurate and reliable so that we can hold people accountable for their actions on their day-to-day workflow. So moving into the homepage reports, I'm sure everybody, when you've logged into your account, the first thing you see is that homepage. And we have this little bit of a dashboard here that shows you all your open estimates, your open invoices, your unscheduled jobs, and upcoming unscheduled service visits if you are a company that does service plans. We also notice on on the furthest right of it, you do have access to look at all of your estimates, all of your invoices, all of your jobs, and all of your service plans. So there's plenty of information in there for you to go ahead and look for it. You do have the ability to filter by specific columns. You can filter by specific statuses. I'm going to be talking a lot about tags. You probably all are going to be so tired of hearing me talk about tags by the end of this session, but I can't stress enough using tags in our system. Um, Also being able to create those estimates, individually send invoices, sending out bulk estimates, bulk invoices. So if we ever have any of those commercial clients that want to, pay a whole month off in one invoice, we can go ahead and do that. So we'll take a look at that as we further dive into our demo. But moving forward, looking at some of those reports. So we are going to build a report together, I promise you. And so you are going to see this. There is the edit columns, which allows us to be able to get the information we need to build the report that we want to build. And for those, we can do that with all of our estimates. We can do that with all of our invoices. We can do it with all of our jobs and all of our service plans. So really made it so that you can build just about any report that you are trying to build. Now, how to search and create and save reports. It's quite simple. I am going to show you in the customer tab. That is where you can look at all of your jobs, all of your estimates. There is a search bar in there, so we can go ahead and filter or search for specific customers or a specific address, a specific tag, and really anything to make those reports that we want to build. Now, to save reports, we did do a session on security training and compliance training, as well as being able to back up your data. We did a session on that a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was almost like 2 months ago, so it's in there. And that's where I went in depth talking about how to export your client list, export your invoices, export your estimates, export all of that data so that you can have it backed up somewhere. But when you build your reports, you will be able to save those reports. And if you're going to build a jobs estimates or customer report, you can always export it. So another thing we're going to take a look at is the reporting dashboard. Now, I always tell everybody is we usually start you off with about 3 to 4 different dashboards that are already created for you. And they already have reports that we've already created for you. And from here, we just give you a launch pad. So then from there, you can kind of start building the reports that you want. You can even build your own custom dashboards. So I will show you how to be able to do that. But with those reports, you can create with the dashboard, that's where you can start to put your reports in place so that you can look at it in one place. Most pros that I show this to usually just kind of stick with the 4 that we're going to see. But as I said, you can always build your own. I went ahead and built one dashboard for me just to kind of do a way of material tracking, but you can always build your own dashboard for whatever you need. So next couple of slides, as I was going through this earlier, it's going to show kind of some pictures. I'm going to do, instead of kind of repeating myself, I'm going to kind of show these, and we're really going to see all of this on the demo. But just a closer look here of when we get into our reports, we can see all the different reports that are available to us. I will explain all of them one by one as we go through the demo. And how to search and create and save reports. Again, kind of pointing out here, great reports for looking for a daily log, looking for jobs sold, things like that. Again, I will go through these within our demo. Access create custom reports in the reporting tab. Yep. So we're going to talk about this as well, but just another picture here just showing kind of how the dashboard is going to look. And I will show you all how you can even move some of those reports around. We can get rid of the reports that we don't need, all that good stuff. And I'm going to show you all how to build these custom reports. One that I always show everyone how to build right off the bat is just a simple accounts receivable report. So, how much money is out there, how much have we collected, all that good stuff. And so we'll build a report from scratch and be able to save it so you all can see it. Now, this is always a great example here. I am going to talk a little bit about the service plans. I won't go too far in depth on them, just because we've done a whole service plan session. I believe we've done two of them. So you can always look back for more information regarding service plans. But with our service plan reporting, I am going to point out that it's going to be geared more towards the actual selling of the service plans. So the service plan dashboard, which I explained in the service plan session, is where you're going to get all your day-to-day stuff. But once we have a report like this service plan one we like, we can always save it to our custom reports. And also, when you do save it, it does give you the option if you want to save it to your dashboard or not. And with this example here, there's a couple of different dashboards so that you can choose exactly which dashboards you want to save this one to. Sharing and scheduling reports. As we mentioned, a lot of people have somebody that they have to report to and they want to see some data, see some reports. So with that, we can set up a specific report or even a custom report that we built from scratch to be able to send that to a specific person, share it with any of our employees, and schedule a frequency to send that report via email to keep our team up to date on the latest updates of our metrics and our data. So share plan sold the past year report. So with this, you can go ahead and schedule those reports. Again, I will kind of show this on the demo, but just being able to make sure we pull the specific reports and share the specific ones we want, we can go ahead and schedule when we want these to be shipped out to our employees or anyone else we need to send it out to. So getting through those slides pretty quick, but I think it's going to make more sense when we take a look at it in real time. So let's go ahead and go into my account. I'm just going to slide this over here so I can keep track of everything we talked about. So let's start with the homepage reports. So right here, we're looking right at my home screen. And these are the reports that we were talking about taking a look at. So we do have our open estimates. If I go ahead and click on that, that is going to generate the list of all of my estimates that are open. And notice that we do have filter buttons. So if I want to go ahead and filter by a specific date, if I want to filter by a specific lead source, tags, and more tags. So estimate tags, estimate status here. So I have it set for all statuses with unscheduled, scheduled, in progress, completed, ones that have copied to jobs. So the ones that have actually converted into work orders. You have the flexibility of deciding which ones that you want to use to filter for and build the report that you're looking to make. Also, there is for outcomes. So we can take a look at, was this a open estimate? Was this a lost estimate? The customer declined on it, or did they approve it and it won and turned into a job? Searching for employees, search by customers, customer tags, so tags, and more tags, job type, and business unit. So all of these, you're going to see these across pretty much most of our reporting. So I'm going to hit kind of all those right here at this time, but pretty much everything is available for all the rest of the reports. Now, some other things to show is the Edit Columns button. So like I mentioned as we went through the slide deck, we can hit that Edit Columns button, and that allows us to expand or contract our report by adding any additional information we need. versus getting rid of any information that we don't need. Now, right here, we're just kind of from the home screen, so this isn't really in our reporting section, but we can still build that report of our estimates. There's also for jobs. So if we scoot it over into jobs, we can take a look at that jobs report this way. And there is our customer report. So similarly, just kind of looking at your customer list. Now, actually, I feel a little don't really feel like calling this is technically a report, but it's not within the reporting section. The reporting section is going to have more detailed reports, but you can pull a report this way. We're going to see together basically the difference, and it's probably going to make more sense once we scoot into that reporting tab of what I'm trying to explain here. Um, but some other things. So we talked about customers, jobs, estimates, and I missed that last one, which was invoices. So in here, we've heard from you all is like, I want to be able to keep track of my invoices. So we do have any invoices that have been unsent, which ones that are due, and any that are past due. And again, we can use the column, edit the columns. And there is also this actions button on the right-hand side, which allows us to export our reports, which I talked about in saving our data. So that's pretty much all there is for that within the home screen. Just kind of want to touch on the three dots here. So the three dots that are here on the home screen, that allows you to choose what you want to see up here. I usually, all my pros just leave this alone because we want to see all this information anyway, but maybe you're a company that doesn't do service plans, so we can go ahead and get rid of that if you don't need it. All right, and so then let's talk about building and really first let's start at the dashboard. We're going to run this like it's one of my normal calls here. So we're going to go into reporting, the reporting tab right here. And the first thing that I mentioned is that you see the dashboard. Now, as I mentioned, we start you off with about 3 to 4 different dashboards that are already created for you. Within these dashboards, you do have the ability to move those reports around. So if you want them in a specific order, you certainly can do so. You also do have the ability to click on the three dots to remove that report if you don't want. If you want it to be a line graph, a table, really customize it the way that you want. And down below, you see the ability where we can click on it to view or edit that report. We're going to go into a report in just a moment, but I just kind of want to show here is just everything you can do with your dashboard. At the top up here, we do have the ability to rename that report. So if you want to name it something else, you always can. We can always change our date range if we need to. But this report or these reports are showing by month and for the last year. There is this presentation mode, which is available to everybody. I see this useful for people that are sitting in the office and maybe you have a TV on the wall and you want to show everybody, your stats, how your technicians are doing. So maybe your technicians now start having little inner competitions about who's selling the most and things like that. So the presentation mode does allow you to cast to another screen if you want to share any of your reports within your office. Adding a report, pretty straightforward. That's just how we're going to go ahead and build a report from scratch. Or I'm sorry, no, this is just adding reports to your dashboard. So again, below here, it's going to give us a list of all of the reports that we have pre-made for you. And you're more than welcome to add any of those reports to your dashboard. And then as over time, you start to build your own reports, you can certainly add your custom reports to your dashboards. And then everybody knows it's coming and it's already here. So we do have Ask Analyst AI. So I saw a lot of questions that came through prepared, and you know what? You could ask these questions to this AI bot right here. It'll give you the exact same answers that I'm giving you, probably worded a little bit more eloquently than what I can say. But you can use that AI to ask, how much revenue have I made in the last month? How much has John Smith sold in the last 6 months? And it'll go ahead and start pulling that information and giving you those answers. And then lastly is the three dots there, which allows you to create a dashboard from scratch. You can go ahead and duplicate a dashboard. So if you want to take everything that's on this plumbing one and go ahead and just copy it over to a new dashboard, you can. Or if you don't want to have a industry focused dashboard, we can always delete it as well. So before I start going more in depth on the reports, I do want to mention right up here at the top the little business insights because this is here. This does help you with being able to keep track of your business goals. Everybody has their own goals, and as you go through this particular section, we do have the AI over here. So if you have any questions about your goals, it can go ahead and answer some of those to keep you on track for them. So for me, I'm trying to be a millionaire over here, and I am well short of that, at least for this year. So we are going to see what we need to do in order to get to that target. So for example, here, my average job size looks to be about $1,300, but if I want to make $1 million by the end of the year, I need to make my jobs be about $15,000 a year. So wish me luck, y'all. And a couple of other things in here is just some other key driver metrics. So really just a screenshot of your goals and being able to keep you and your team focused on what you need to do to attain them. So jumping back to our reports, I'm going to go down here to where all of the reports live. Now, I usually say with my trainings, I like to go from the bottom to the top just because it seems to make most sense when I'm explaining things. So at the very bottom is where your custom reports are going to live. So any reports that you create yourself and you save them, they are going to be in this section. All of those parameters of your filters and date ranges are going to be in place so that way you can always pull up your report and see that information in real time. So mine was last 45 days. I wanted to look at when all my jobs were created. I should probably look at completed, and I want to look by employee. So, and that's actually not a pretty good one. Let's maybe go to year to date. Oh, job tag is commercial. Okay, I'm going to remove that tag and we should start seeing some more stuff pop up in here. And there we go. So we're able to look at year to date by employee. So we're looking at it by me to see any of those completed jobs. And down below, we can start to see some of the other people that are on there as well. Now, moving up, we have the payments reports. So if you are ever looking to get a report in how much you paid in credit card fees, how much you paid in taxes, if you want to get a breakdown of how many of your payments were cash versus check versus credit card, this is the report you're looking for because all you have to do is put in your date range of when you want to look at that data, and we will send you an email that is a spreadsheet breaking down all of that information. That way you can always pass it to your CPA, pass it to your accountant, whoever needs to see these payment reports. Now, invoice reports. We can look at any outstanding invoices. So we can look at how we similarly looked at just all of our open invoices, or we can look at our open invoices by their aging dates. So that 14 days, 30 days, 90 days, whatever you want to look at. For created invoices, that is where we can look at our invoices either by its creation date or by its customer. Service plan reports. Now, as I mentioned before, this is more geared towards the actual selling of the service plans so that way we can see which service plans were sold by date, which service plans were sold by type, and which service plans were sold by employee. So that way we can start to see if you do any types of commissions, that kind of thing. We can see which employees really out there selling off these service plans and maybe give them a little bonus. For leads reports, I do know that we are soon going to be releasing leads to everybody. I don't really want to go too far in the weeds of how to use leads because I'm sure that will be saved for a different session. But leads are best used for if you have a sales department that is constantly reaching out to customers. So with the leads reports, this is where you will be able to look at any of the conversions of those leads. So we can look at the conversion by date. We can look at the conversion by specific lead source, or we can look at it by employee. So how many of those leads turned into jobs, turned into estimates versus how many didn't. Estimate reports are very similar in the same sense we are also looking at conversion rates so that way we can take a look at those conversions by date, by employee, or by particular lead source, job type, or business unit. So again, just kind of checking to see how many of those estimates turned into work orders, turned into jobs, and how many have not. Now, for jobs reports, since that's where all the money is, that's where we have more reporting for you. So that way we can look at our jobs by date, we can look at our jobs by customer, we can look at our jobs by type. So that's where job tags, again, tags, 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 um, job type, that's where that really starts to come into play. Time tracking reports. So when I'm onboarding other pros, I always ask them, how do you pay your staff? How do you pay your technicians? Some of them do time cards where they actually have to punch in at 8 o'clock in the morning and they punch out at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That is a different report for another time. The time tracking reports here is more in reference to the jobs, so that way we can see how much time has been spent traveling to the jobs, as long as our technicians are hitting on my way, and we can see how much time is actually spent at the job sites because they are hitting start and stop on each of their jobs. Now, for job costing, I'm going to do my best to explain this without referencing back to the session, but we did do a whole session on job costing, and we talked about the importance of putting in a unit cost versus a unit price, putting in our material costs versus what we are charging our customer, and adding any additional job inputs for material costs as well as any other miscellaneous costs. Everybody is able to build a job costing report on a single job. So as long as we are consistently doing this, we can then pull a report over a longer period of time to see all of our costs versus all of our revenue versus all of our profit. Now, for our employee reports, we have the tech leaderboard. So as reviews start coming in from the customers, we can start to see what the average review rating is of our employees. We can also pull up to see how many jobs they've completed versus how many reviews they've received. So, for example, if we have an employee where they only have, maybe 30 reviews over the last 100 days, but they've had, 150 jobs, maybe we'll have that conversation with them to say, hey, don't forget to tell your customers to fill out a review, that kind of thing. There is on-job sales by employee, so we can see how much revenue a employee is bringing in. Also, we can see how much they're bringing in upsells if you are using commissions, so that way you can mark what items they sold. We do have a commissions report, so if you do set up commissions in your account, you can then see how much the employees are taking home in commissions. And then the last thing is material usage, which for the longest was how we were kind of tackling the inventory issue. Now we have ply, which is, I'm going to save that for a completely different session because that's its own beast right there. But what material usage reports do is it allows us to see anytime we add a material to a job, we're going to tally it. So we can see how many times this material has been used over a period of time. So that's kind of the general overview of all the reports. So now I'm going to show you how we go ahead and build and manipulate a report. We'll just go into a simple one. We're going to go right here into a monthly report. And as I kind of mentioned up here at the top, these are where your filters are to start setting up your parameters of the report. So we can look at when jobs were created, scheduled, or completed. We can change our date range. So if we want to look at week to date, month to date, year to date, put in a custom date range, whatever we need, we can always put that in there. There's a couple of other filtering options here, but I'm just building a monthly report, so I'm going to keep it at date and month. And there is the filter button over here, which I already went down the list of. Pretty much everything is there for you so that you can go ahead and get the right filters to build the report that you're trying to build. Now down below, as our report starts to be built, as I mentioned, there is the edit columns button so that we can expand or contract our report. Um, I'm going to show you all how to build a accounts receivable report. So for that one, we are going to want job total and we're going to want paid amount. All right, so now as we're looking at our report, let's see here. In the month of August, I had 2 jobs totaling about $1,500, and it looks like I collected most of it. In the month of June, I had 1 job for $155, and I didn't collect any of it. So with this, I can go further into the report. Let's go into that month of June. And that way I can take a look at the job, maybe call the customer, reissue my invoice, maybe talk to my technician, and go ahead and try and figure out why I didn't get paid. Then, once the report is to your liking, there is the export button. So as I mentioned before, you can always export your reports and send them to anybody that you need to. Otherwise, we can always save our reports to our custom reports. Now, speaking of sharing and scheduling reports, there's the button right there. So save your report to enable, oh, because I haven't actually built a report. So let's go to a custom report here. And just showing, that's not a good example. All right, let me just use the one that I just did then. Save it. We'll call this, yeah, monthly AR. Want to point out, notice right there, that's where I can save it to my dashboard. So let's do it anyway. And we'll add it to my administrative dashboard. All right. So now the share and schedule button is there for us. So I can go ahead and click on it, go ahead to share, and I can pick which employees I want to share it with. Now these are my two office staff, so they're the ones that are going to have access to the reporting. Notice it's not going to let me do it, share that reporting with any field technicians. And I can customize the message here that goes with this report when it gets sent to those particular employees. If we're going to go ahead and schedule, this is where we can go ahead and set up that frequency. So we have my monthly AR, we have a date, and we can, what date we want to send that out. So let's maybe send it out for next Thursday at our usually scheduled time, 2 p.m., and have that frequency be weekly and select which employees, which is again our office staff or the people we have given access to or permission to be able to see our reports. And so really from all of that, I think that just about covers everything that we were talking about. So I'll go ahead and open the floor to any questions. Just kind of looking here. Yeah, that's everything. So let's see those questions in the chat. I think I saw a couple still pop up. Are we still unable to sort when searching from Dustin? Um, it depends what you're searching for. There's certain limitations to what we can sort for at this time. I've gotten a lot of feedback from my pros, which I have given to our product managers as well as the developers from as far as I can in terms of the feedback. But if anybody is able to, if you're aware of our pro votes, you can go to the blue chat bubble on your account and submit a pro vote if you want to see some improvements made. I know that, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, we will go ahead and be able to, um, we're working on more improvements towards reporting. So I see a little follow-up here. Is there any plan to correct TypeScript restraints that do not allow for um, so for that, that's a little bit above my head. With your first question there, Dustin, can you tell me anything about if HTTP plans to incorporate the voice dialer for mobile in the same page instead of having Dustin, that's going to be a question for another session. I don't have the answer for that prepared right now. We love questions, so keep them coming. Can you please add sorting for all various reports? That's some great feedback. We will take that back with us. Materials do not allow for mass corrections. Okay. Yep. Keep the feedback coming, Dustin. Let's see here. Edward, Housecall Pro is no longer multi-person safe. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of the questions that were pre-prepared. So as I answer these, feel free to throw some more in the chat. Let's take a look here. So the first one is from Cody. I'm trying to find what services we did the most of over the course of the year. I cannot find a report on how I can find a report on how many materials we used on the jobs. is there somewhere to see the same report for services? So Cody, the answer is no. My suggestion for this is tags. So if you want to put a job tag on for the specific service that you did, or if you have multiple services, you can add multiple job tags that will help you pull reports that you're looking for. Um, the next one is from Ivan on the reporting page. How can I get my stats for the last year? Um, so as I kind of already demoed, but I'll show it again, is that anytime we are looking at a report, you can just go ahead and change up your date range. So I have mine that is year to date, so that will start from January 1st of 2005, but we can also go to custom range and you can set up any date range you want. So if you have a year's worth of data in there, you can certainly pull a year's worth of data. Um, Steven, now that the whole dash view has changed, how do I filter out invoices by only the ones that we have sent to customers? All right, Stephen, I did show this, but I will go back to it again. So for that, if we are looking at our home screen and we go to all invoices, notice up here we can see unsent, due, past due. So actually, you asked something else, only by the ones we have sent to customers. Um, so for that one, that's a good one. I actually haven't built that one in a minute. Let me just kind of think this out loud here while we do this. So we do have invoices. We have them by they're created, but we want to see when they're sent. Let's see here. I mean, that's technically you could do pending. I was gonna say is it probably would take a little bit of playing around in here. One thing that I'm obviously going to suggest is tags. So when you do send off an invoice to a customer, you can go ahead and put in like sent or invoice sent as its job tag. And then that way you can pull up a report by that invoice sent. That would probably be the easiest in my opinion. But that's something I honestly was not quite prepared for today to build out. But I'm sure playing around in here, you can kind of build another way, but still my number one suggestion would just be job tags. All right, next one is from Jenilyn. I Googled and still can't figure out how to run a report by referred by. So we talked about this on the last session. We currently do not have a report for the referred by field. What I would recommend is that we use, you guessed it, tags. So put a customer tag if it's a customer that was referred by a specific customer. Just put that customer tag onto them. Then you can pull reports based on that particular tag. What I've seen some people do is they just put referred as one tag and then the name of the person by the other tag so that when you are pulling the report, you can filter by referred and then see all of the customers that were basically that word of mouth. So that would be my suggestion. Karen, is there a way to run a report from the customer list who does not have an active service agreement? Also, a report for customers who had service agreement at one point and no longer have an active one. The expired report is not accurate, especially if they change plans. So, Karen, this is one that is we're looking at. This does need to be improved because I showed you is that really for our reports, we can just see when service plans were sold by. Um, you're probably if I'll give you $100 if you can guess what I'm about to say next. And the best way that I would do that is through TAGS tags. So if a customer is no longer on an active service agreement, you can put a customer tag that says like no longer no longer service customer, or what I generally see a lot of pros I train is that if they do have a service plan customer, is to create a tag for them that says membership customer, service plan customer. And then that way we can pull that report based on just service plan customer, membership customer. And if that customer ever does fall off of their service plan and doesn't want to renew, we can remove that tag and then they will not show up on that list. Or if you do want to pull a report of who has who has expired and is no longer on one, you can then switch in a tag, put in a tag that says no longer on a service plan. Um, something along those lines. I'm sure you can think of something a little bit more eloquent than I can. All right. Next question. Is there a way to pull a report to see how much a tech bought in the last 3 to 6 or brought in the last 3 to 6 months? So for that, the answer is yes. I did point out to it. It's going to be in jobs, and you can either, excuse me, look at the tech leaderboard, or you can look at on-job sales and by employee, as well as commissions if you do have that turned on. I have talked about commissions in a previous session, so I would refer to looking back at those previous sessions. But in the tech leaderboard, as you can see here, I can look at the date range over the last 45 days, and I see my technician Nick here is brought in about $1,100 worth of revenue. He's only done one job in the last 45 days, but we can make that date range longer and see how much they're bringing in within 3 to 6 months. Um, is there a sold by report? The technician leaderboard only attributes revenue generated by whoever is assigned. I cannot create how much is generated by my selling technicians when the installation is assigned to my install crews. So for that, what I would recommend is if we are looking at a job, now if you have a job, you should have commissions probably turned on, even if you're not going to use them, because what we can then do, and I may have showed this on a previous session, but I'll show it again since this is kind of what we're talking about. Oh, so get a dead spot here on the session. Oh no. Well, while this is loading, I will do my best to explain it. So, when you are in your settings, if you go to your jobs, there is going to be a spot for commissions. If you just turn that switch on, what that is going to allow you to do is that when you are looking at your job, under each line item, there's going to be an option that says sold by, and there's going to be another option that says commission. So, there we go. And whoa, took us all the way back to the old screen. Let's go take a look at our schedule. We'll take a look at our job. So this is what I'm referring to is once it's turned on, you can see sold by and you can see the commission section. If I put them in the commission section, that's where we're talking about commissions. That's a conversation for another day. But to answer Tim's question right here is that it's this sold by section. I can go ahead and say that I sold this particular line item, and then that way I fall onto the report of on-job sales by employee. So that's the report you're looking for because you are correct. Tech leaderboard with job revenue accounts more for the people that were actually assigned to that job. The other way I would recommend doing this, if you don't want to use that whole commission based, is tags. Yep, that's right. So you can also go ahead and put in a job tag of who sold that, and then that way you can pull a report that way if you like. But this is here for and designed for it, so you can do it either way. Common phrase I always say is whatever works best for you. All right, and then Fadi, is there any way to generate a report for homeowners versus business only? I want to generate a report because I know exactly where you're going with this. When we input a customer, you do have the option of putting in homeowner or putting in business. As far as I know, there isn't a way to track that, um, but there is one way, and everybody together, it's tags. So you can put a tag on your customer. You can put it in customer tag as a homeowner or a business, and then you can pull your reports based on that. Other ones I see people do is they use residential and commercial. They put that in their job type or they put it in their tags, and that's how they pull these reports. So that's what I had for the prepared questions. And now I see everybody's chatting up in here. It's getting hot, so let's take a look at what's going on. Um, is there a way, is there a way to add additional fields to property items? I would like to pull a report. Dustin, I'm assuming you're probably talking about the property profile feature. So with that, there aren't any current reports in regards to on-site equipment, but that is some feedback I know that we have brought back. So we will bring that back for you. Um, I would like to pull a report for upcoming service contracts for things like ordering filters. Is that possible? So that's going to be a little bit more of um, I would say that's a little bit more of inventory management, but depends on we there's a lot of vocab that we use a lot. So if you're talking about service contracts in terms of like service agreements, for the upcoming ones, what I would refer you to is the service plan dashboard. Because in that service plan dashboard, which is if you go up to your apps and you go to service plans, that gives you the list of all the unscheduled visits. So it's going to auto generate for everyone that is due this particular month, but you can always click on the view more to see everybody that is due for a service call visit. So maybe with that, you can look at this and be able to identify when you need to order those filters. But this is what we have in terms of service plan and service agreement reporting for people that need to be scheduled. Um, I asked questions in Q&A, Mariana.
Yeah, she's got a couple of questions in our Q&A section. Uh,
Okay.
follow up about the uh, probably when you were going over the presentation mode, if you wanted to display your reports up in your office. She was asking if presentation mode is only available for the reporting feature or if that's available elsewhere.
It's
Uh,
only the reporting.
display the reporting. And then, Marianne, I see your other question regarding reviews. If an employee forgets to ask a customer to complete a review, can an admin reach out to the customer with the review link? Yes, you can resend the review link. I can drop the instructions to that. Um, slightly unrelated here.
Okay. Yeah. Chris had the correct answer there. So, any others before we move on to Dustin's next question?
We did get, let me check Facebook. I think we had a couple questions here. Jason Julian in the comments. I was letting him know, yeah, tags, best way to get the most accuracy. He says tags are hot, tags. All kinds of things here. It's great. And then Travis Turner asked best tags to track reporting employee bonus for upselling.
So we currently don't have anything for like incentives for your employees. So really, we just don't have that designed in the system yet. So I'm going to say that the answer is no. But as I did show, you can pull on-job sales by employee as long as you are marking that they sold this particular item. And then really from there, at this time, you would have to do it manually or, in a separate system or however you're kind of currently doing it. But that is another thing that we've heard a lot of feedback on. I just haven't really heard of any advancements on that yet.
Awesome. Okay, I think we can go back to the chat.
All right. So Dustin, what about for timesheets? Currently, time is not exported to QuickBooks Desktop. The reports when ran, unless ran for individual employee, export total and not per employee, and will also pair the employees. So capturing this data is painful. What is the fix for this? Um, Dustin, QuickBooks is not really my world, so I don't have the best answer for that. What I would recommend is you can certainly reach out to our Blue Chat bubble. We do have quick and ask to speak with a QuickBooks rep, or you can reach out to community. I'm sure we can get you in touch with somebody from the QuickBooks team to answer any QuickBooks related questions. Um, but for the timesheets, really, as I mentioned, we only have and as far as I know, these don't go over to QuickBooks, but we have the timesheet in the apps, which is where we can see if they're clocking out clocking in the morning and clocking out at the end of the day. Otherwise, there's that reporting, which I mentioned, which is in our jobs reporting so that we can look at time spent on jobs. Time, job time tracking by employee. So let's see. The tags for lead management is odd. Currently, if you attach a lead to a customer, it does not carry over to when a job is created and the dispatch is having to enter it both. Okay, I believe I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the lead source. Now there is a method to the madness, because I get this all the time. It's the reason that it's set up like that is because when we put in our customer for the first time, you're going to see that that lead box or lead source box. What I tell everyone is that's what you're gonna put in that the first time that they called in about you. Where did they call in from? Where did they hear about you? Now, the reason that it's empty when you start creating jobs and estimates for them is because maybe they used a different source. Maybe they called you through your Facebook number. Maybe they saw the number on the truck, or maybe they went to the website. So that is why it is by design where it doesn't carry over because we don't know if maybe they called in from a different source or they found out about you from a different source. So that is the reason. Um, any automations that work with tags. Tags rely on staff doing it every time, which we all know is hit or miss. So, yes, I would say there is a lot of functionality within our system that is based on tags. That's why I can't stress tags enough to everybody. Because with those tags, that's where we can set up specific marketing email campaigns to target specific people. We can have certain people excluded from invoice reminders. So there really is a lot of automations. We actually did a session, I want to say about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on automations. So Michael, I would strongly recommend watching that session because I talked about all of that. Um, and so let's see. Dustin, I would like the ability to add SKU numbers to items. Any idea if this is possible? If that is a part number, you can add a part number to a material. Um, so that would kind of be my answer to that. But as far as SKU numbers, I don't know of a specific field for that. But um, if that's also in reference to a part number, you certainly can do that. There is also task codes. Everything that's in the price book, there is a task code. So I don't know if you want to use that as a SKU number, but really that's just kind of a code that you can use to go ahead and find a service or an item fairly quickly. Is there a way to pull discount amount other than using invoices? What is it? Oh, I okay, now I understand your question. Um, mm, as far as I know, the answer is going to be no, um, other than using what you had provided. Uh, just checking, quick check. So the answer is going to be no. What you have is the best thing that we have. Uh, for service contracts that have not occurred yet or been scheduled by the customer, has our calendar full of errors? Is there a way to not have these fill our calendar with all of the unscheduled visits? They would fall on, I mean, if they're on a service plan, they would fall into that list on the service plan dashboard. So that would kind of avoid, and also they shouldn't be on your schedule yet unless you put them there. Um, And if it's not, it's on the unscheduled visits list, and we would want that because it is an unscheduled visit, and we want to have that visibility so we can book it. Using that would require opening each visit to determine what filters are needed. That's kind of crazy. I understand what you're saying, Dustin, and I'm gonna tell you something. It's a four-letter word. Well, actually, it's three, and it's plural. Tags, because when you look at your schedule, you can see tags on just by hovering over the job. So that could save you a click. That would be my suggestion. I think I have time for maybe one more question here. I know we've got quite a few in here. I want to try and get to everybody, and I hope I got. Looks like we got through them all.
I think you got through them all. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Oh, how
do
are
know
you?
Yeah, I before I turn it over to Chris, I just kind of want to reiterate if I didn't get to answer your question, or maybe if I didn't answer it fully to your liking, just reach out to us. We have tons of support for you all. So maybe you might need a 30-minute session with myself or one of my teammates. We can get you a booking link if you're on a Max or a Max Plus account, and then that way we can spend 30 minutes deep diving into your reports to make sure we get the reports that you're looking for and take any feedback you have. So, as I said, we're constantly improving and constantly want to hear feedback from you all. And with that, I will hand it over to Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Thank you. Really appreciate you going through all those questions. I know a lot about our product, but some of those reporting questions I don't know how to answer, so I'm really glad you're here. Um, yeah, otherwise, like Phil said, if we missed anybody's questions, highly recommend use the Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, I can get you the link to get over there. It's a great place to get advice from other pros and Lauren Jean and myself and Shayna and some of our other staff are in there and willing to help you. So encourage you to join there and ask questions. Um, Let me look ahead what we're doing next week. Looks like next week we're going to be talking about job and estimate details. So all those different fields, all those different things within a job, like property profile, job inputs, all those little fields when you're creating a job and an estimate. We're going to talk about what each one does, why it's beneficial.
Helps you with your reporting.
Yeah, kind of go hand in hand here. So we'll do that next week, and then Lauren and I need to get together, and we'll come up with the next few topics as we head into September. So we'll keep you posted on that. And otherwise, I hope you'll join us for office hours. That's every Friday. That's at 11 Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. It's an open hour for you to just come, talk to me, talk to Lauren, talk to Matthew. We're all here to help you, and otherwise talk to other pros. It's a great place to just network and hang out. So if you've got some free time, encourage you to be there. I can get you the link. And then I hope everybody has a good long weekend, and we'll get you back next week. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Mariana, I see your question. I'm going to get you the office hours link right now. Staying on. Good thing I saw that before I click this off. Let me get that to you. Yep, Andy, get that to you as well. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. It'd be great. Yeah, here you go. I'm putting it in the chat right now. So just sign up for that, and then you're signed up for every Friday. So it should be easy to join. Put it on your calendar, and then whenever you're free on Fridays at 11 or 2 or whatever time it is for you, you can come and join us. Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully you guys got that link. I'll give you another second here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow or next week. Take care.